You ever have that moment where your to-do list is so long, you don't even know where to start? So instead of tackling it, let me guess, you scroll on your phone, you overthink what needs to actually get done, and then you feel guilty for wasting time. Yep, I have been there too, my friend. And here's the thing. Numbing out isn't real rest. So, today we're talking about why you feel like you have to do everything yourself, why it might be holding you back, and how to let go of just one thing today to create more space for yourself. So, welcome to the Magic Mindfulness Podcast. I am Rachel Hupp, your host, and I am so glad that you are here with me today. This is where we take self care and mindfulness and yoga beyond the mat so that you can create alignment in your life in a way that feels real, doable, and nourishing. And today we are diving into part 3 of our self care series. So if you missed the last 2 episodes, you'll definitely want to go back and listen to those. Now, in episode 1, we talked about why slowing down feels so daggone hard and how to start making space for yourself without feeling guilty about it. And then in episode 2, we tackled the perfectionist trap, one that I know all too well. And it's that all or nothing, black or white thinking that keeps self care feeling impossible. And today, well, my friend, today we are talking about why you feel like you have to do everything yourself. Because so many of us say that we want more time for ourselves, right? But when the opportunity actually arises, we tend to fill it with more doing, more things. We stay busy because slowing down feels weird, right? Or unproductive, or even a little bit selfish. But here is the truth. Overwhelm is not a sign that you need to work harder. It's actually a sign that you need to step back. So, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the invisible workload that keeps women too exhausted for self care, the difference between real rest and numbing out because scrolling on our phones isn't actually helping us. And then one simple shift that you can make today to create more space for yourself. And be sure to stick around because next time in episode 4, we're going to be talking about how to build a self care habit that actually sticks so that once you do make space for yourself, you know exactly how to use it in a way that feels nourishing and sustainable. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier, we say that we want to make time for ourselves, right? But how often, raise your hand, show me something in the comments, raise your hand in the comments. How often you say you want to make time for yourself, but when the opportunity actually comes around, we fill it with more doing. I've been there. I do it all the time. Even now, even that I know better, I still catch myself wanting to do it. I've heard it so many times. Oh, great. One more thing to add to my never ending to do list. Or I've just got to get through today. But some things got to give. So let me invite you to take a step back with me for a second and ask you to consider why exactly is it that we feel like we have to do everything ourselves? Why are we taking on even more, filling those rare empty spaces with more to do? And I'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts on this. I think that part of it is cultural conditioning, especially for women. From a very young age, right? We're taught to be responsible, to keep things running smoothly, to make sure everyone around us is okay. We learn that our productivity equals our worth. And I don't know about you, but I thought for a long time that needing help or asking for help was actually a sign of weakness. And if you've ever thought, it's just easier to do it myself. You're not alone there either. We tell ourselves that asking for help will take more time, that no one else will do it right, or that it's selfish even to take things off of our plate to ask somebody else to do something that we could or should do ourselves. But the problem is that mindset, it doesn't just keep you busy, it keeps you exhausted. So instead of feeling accomplished, you feel resentful. Have you ever been there, right? Like there's never enough time for you. Instead of being present, you're constantly mentally multitasking, trying to hold everything together. And instead of actually enjoying your life, the moment that's right there in front of you, you are just getting through the days, trying to get through one more day, hoping that maybe next week, next month, next year, things will slow down. So many people look to you, and from the outside, they think, wow, her life is perfect. But we're all human. We all have challenges. Oftentimes, the people that are on the outside looking in don't know the challenges that we're facing. And the reality is that sometimes we are just barely hanging on. So let's be really clear. Overwhelm is not a sign that you need to work harder. Overwhelm is a sign that you need to step back, slow down, take something off your plate. Now, here's the real truth. You don't have to do everything for everyone. You don't have to earn your rest. Letting go does not mean that you are failing. It means that you are making space for what actually matters. And I know this because I have had to learn it the hard way, my friend. I used to believe that if I didn't handle something myself, it wouldn't get done right. That if I worked just a little harder, if I planned a little better, I'd eventually reach this magical place where I had it all together, where there would finally be time for me. If you ever figure out how to get it all together, let me know because my ducks are not in a row. The reality, that moment never came. And for me, it was not until I started letting go, delegating small tasks, setting healthy boundaries, and deciding that my well being mattered just as much as everything else that things actually started to change. I didn't have to wait for the perfect moment. I just had to choose to make space right now. So, my friend, if you can relate to any of this, if you have been feeling overwhelmed, here is an invitation for you today. Choose one thing, just one thing to let go of. One thing. That could be delegating something. Maybe it's a task. Maybe it's asking for help with dinner, giving a work task to somebody else, or letting your partner handle bedtime. Saying no to something unnecessary, an obligation that you actually don't have time for, a favor that you feel guilty about, something that drains your energy. Say no to something. Simplify an expectation. Let go of the idea that something has to be perfect before it's good enough. The goal here isn't to try to overhaul your entire life. It's just to make one tiny shift today, one small shift. And I promise you, even letting go of one thing can create an instant sense of relief. So here's what I would like to invite you to remember from today's episode. Overwhelm, it is not a sign that you need to push harder, my friend. It is a sign that you're already doing too much. You need to step back a little bit. You don't have to do everything to be enough. You are enough exactly as you are. You are already worthy. And letting go of even one thing can create an instant sense of relief. So I would love to hear from you. What is one thing that you are letting go of this week? Drop it in the comments or send me a message over on Instagram at I am Rachel Hupp. I would love to hear from you. And if this episode resonated with you, then be sure to go back and listen to episode 2, where we talked about how perfectionism is keeping you stuck in self-care because letting go of all or nothing thinking is a huge part of releasing overwhelm. Now, next week, we're going to be talking about how to build self care habits that actually last, no matter how busy you are. So, if you have ever struggled with sticking to a routine, you're not alone. You're not going to want to miss next week's episode. So, until then, take just one thing off your plate today. You are so worthy of this care.